Alrighty, so back working on the truck. I did do a little bit of cleaning in here, so kind of opened up some space. What I want to do today is get the wheels off. I want to get the torsion bars out and start to test fit the coilovers.
And put new ones in.
And put new ones in.
New torsion bar.
No, not new torsion bars. So we do have these coilovers. They're just QA1 18-way adjustable coilovers, 450 spring rate, and I want to try to get these things test fitted. So we're probably going to get started over here, pull the wheel off, and I'll go underneath with the 2-jaw puller, and and we'll take that torsion bar key down on this side and try to pull the bar out. Alright, just for starting reference, this is about 36 inches high. There's no engine in it, so just as a ballpark to start with.
The truck. I have to find that. That part looks wet.
Cover for the torsion bar key off. Man, I think this battery is bad. I'm having issues with that battery. Put it on the charger, it comes off dead. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll get the 2-jaw puller on it, just wrap it around the little frame here, and loosen up that bolt, and that'll free up the bar and the key, and we can drop that down. Alright, so now that bar is loose in there, and we just got to try to figure out how to get the key off the bar and get the bar out of the arm. Alright, so here's what we got. This is about 36 inches. So our torsion bars are disconnected. Oh. So I think there's about 31. So that would give me a match to what the rear was. That's about 30 right there, so a little bit lower. So I'd probably set it up with it about right here, and then I have some to account for engine weight. And then engine weight and everything will probably bring it down to, about 20, 29 or something around here. That's probably what it's gonna look like. So yeah, I really like that look a lot better. I've always wanted this truck to be low, and now it's a little bit lower, so looks pretty good. Alright, so then my measurement, the coilover eyelets are probably about 16.5 inches center to center. So then if I were to go and measure this, where this factory shock is, if you look about from the opening to maybe about here, you're looking right around 15 inches. So eyelet, center to center, I should be able to get it right in that 16 range. I might have to modify this a little bit, maybe stand it up a little bit, but it's not really it's not really going to be that wild of a change to get that to fit in there. So that should be pretty decent. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to use the grinder and cut the torsion bars out. The front and rear are like really rusted in there and seized in. I can't really get the key off the back. And I just don't feel like messing with it. So I'm just going to cut them because I'm not going to reuse this stuff anyways. So I should be able to cut a decent section here, get the back out, and then maybe I'll try to pound the front out or something. I have the torsion bars out. I was trying to actually use the old bar to slam that other piece out. I was kind of using it like a sledge for a little bit and then smacking on it, put some PB Blaster in there. And I went underneath to kind of look at everything to see, I think I was actually spraying the PB Blaster on the backside. And I did notice that the ball joints are torn on the bottom, like the boots are torn. I know the one on the top on the passenger side is torn, going bad. A lot of the bushings are all cracked, and there's a lot of other stuff that's just wrong up in the front. It's not really causing driving issues, but it's not really good stuff. So I feel like if I just do the coilover section and add that, there's other stuff that still needs to get done. So I ended up finding a kit online that's like $230. The upper and lower control arms, all the ball joints, all the bushings. It has new tie rod ends and ball joints, and I think I'm just going to do that. So instead of trying to worry about getting the other torsion bar piece out, I'm just going to replace all that crap. So I'll probably leave this stuff in here now and then rework the top section for the coilover. And then when that stuff gets here, then I can just rip it all out. Then I'll start fresh with everything. I don't have to worry about rusty parts and cleaning all that stuff. And I have fresh ball joints and everything all up in the front. I think I'm just going to do that because I was really not getting anywhere with that. All right, so I do have the two little bolts for the bottom of the shock on this side cut out. I just cut them out. I didn't even mess with them on this side. Everything's just so rusty. So what I'm going to do here is not block the camera, or maybe I have to. Maybe that's just part of life. I'm going to use a pipe wrench on here. This worked pretty good on the other side. Otherwise it was just spinning in there. So just be able to compress this a little bit, pull it out. So I do have the other coilover in on the other side, so I wanted to check this because I don't even know if I'm going to have to modify this. I'll show you what I mean. It's a little bit tough to see, but I just have a bolt ran through and it's just resting on top of where that hole is. This section here, it's got a couple more inches. I do have the wheel dropped all the way down. I did test it already, and I kind of just dropped that thing down onto the top of the eyelet and it rested there, and it started to compress the spring. So I have the spring all the way down right now. So that's why I wanted to finish this side up quick. And I'm going to put the springs in there and just kind of rest them in there, and then actually put the full weight of the truck on it and see where it ends up. I don't think I'm even going to have to modify those towers. And another interesting thought is this eyelet is removable. This eyelet is removable, and there's like a nut on the bottom side. So as long as I had like some kind of thick washer or something, I might be able to run the stud through the top. But I'll look at that. I might have enough to just keep the eyelet on there and then run a little like U-bracket down. I'd have to build it, but let's see what it looks like with both of them in there. Yeah, that's what I mean right there. So that eyelet fits down there. I just put a bolt through to rest it on. And then I have a couple inches here, and I'm just gonna rest that hole on the top of that eyelet. Okay, so here the truck is right now with the new springs actually just resting in there. This took it down to about 30 and a half from 36. So just putting the springs in there lowered the truck 5 inches with no front end weight, of course. And the rear end is 5 inches lower when I did the axle flip and all that stuff. So I needed to lower the front 5. Just putting the springs in there lowered it 5. So that's kind of how it looks now. Again, I just have the eyelet on the top kind of resting in that little perch with the bolt on the bottom, and the bottom eyelet is about halfway in the hole. Just kind of looks like that on the top, just kind of resting in there. There is clearance all the way around, nothing touches, so that's all good. It's kind of almost like it was meant to be. So what I think I'm going to end up doing is buy like a T-bar kit. T-bar kit is this little thing that goes through the bottom eyelet. So that's kind of underneath on the back side. So what I can do is I can just run the eyelet and bolt that thing in there. I could actually run the eyelet mounting on the underside of the arm. Either or, you're not going to gain much either way. But what I think I can do with this one is open this top hole up enough to be able to get this whole eyelet section through there, and then do a T-bar mount like on the top. So then what that would do is close this gap up a little bit, and it would give me a little bit more clearance there. So I'd rather go lower than I need and then be able to adjust it up than not be able to adjust it down enough. So looking on the bottom here, I do have about 1 inch of thread that I could go down a little bit more if I needed to, but I just have them there because that's what it needed to kind of get the spring tight in between the mounting sections. So yeah, I should be able to get another inch lower with the threads, inch lower with the eyelet mounting, And then I'll have full adjustability on where I want to mount that spring. So it should be lower than I need, and then I'll be able to raise it back up using the adjustment on the threads. And like I said, this was at 31, so I got the 5 inches out of it that I need. And then my wife and I stood on the bumper, and I had my son measure it, and that lowered it another inch when we stood on it. Putting the engine weight and everything in there, it'll probably lower it another maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out so far. And as I mentioned when I was preparing to do this, I was kind of thinking I was going to have to cut a lot of this stuff up, but it actually fit together a lot better than I needed, almost like it was meant to be in there. So I either did a good job planning this, or I got extremely lucky, or there's something seriously wrong that I just haven't seen yet. So hopefully it's just that I got lucky. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I'll get that stuff ordered, and then I'll come back in a little bit.